Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're going to run it back. I'm sorry, Kevin. People in chat are saying all offense from me. I do remember when he tried to run for office. Luckily, we're out of that era, clown era of politics, right? I was thinking the other... and when I thought of this, I was like, this bit is not going to go over as well in real life as it goes over in my head. But I was thinking, after, like, an entire lifetime of, like, historical presidencies, you know, Clinton gets impeached, George W. Bush, like, you know, was a character. Barack Obama was historic, like, for a number of different reasons. And then Donald Trump following it up. It's kind of nice. I mean, I don't live in America. But it's kind of nice to have a president who's, like, just kind of like a guy. At least as of right now. He just seems like he's kind of like a... Just kind of like a goofball. You know, he has some gaffes now and then and stuff like that. But he's mostly just sort of like... I'm not speaking about anything to do with his policies or actions in office. But just I feel like in history, when we look back on this era, there's going to be, like, you know, 4 really crazy administrations in a row. And then it'll be like, and then it was like, we just said, let's just relax for like, let's just take 4 years off. Plus, he's really good at guilty gear, right? He does say, Minnesota! And what's crazy about Obama? He thinks he deserves Dijon mustard. And don't even get me started on the tan suit, okay? Don't even get me started on that tan suit. He also did some drone strikes. Listen, we try to keep it lighthearted here, okay? And the waters. No, we try to keep it lighthearted here, okay? Ghibli! Perfect timing! Me when I'm losing the crowd. Ghibli! Ghibli's here, everybody! Ghibli's here! I gotta get out of here. Ghibli, I was talking smack about how you play Spore. But I was using it as a funhouse mirror to mostly talk about how I become a psycho in chat. I hate the psychos in chat, then I watch other streamers and I become the psycho in chat. Yeah, let's try it. Yeah, Chibli, you must apologize for your Spore crimes. +2. I stole it from chat. It's a product of the writer's room. I made it up. Dude, I ended up... you got to be careful with your phrasing here. I ended up in a weird part of Twitter, okay? There's somebody I follow who's like a games journalist. He posted a video unrelated to games journalism. And it was like this TikTok influencer that's called like the Dapper Man or something like that. It's just an older gentleman in like a 20-piece suit who made a video that was like, guess what, everybody? The bowler is back. And he took out like a bowler hat and then went like and put it on top of his head. And I was like, that's very funny. I enjoyed the video immensely. I clicked on the tweet to see what was going on in the mentions. Every single tweet below it was like, hey, Big Daddy, would love to bend your ass over my kitchen counter and give it to you good. And then, I didn't realize what had been going on. It was like a thirst trap for bears. I thought it was just like a guy who's really into fashion. I didn't realize that it was like some safe for work, not safe for work stuff. That's actually amazing. I mean, I was laughing and I was also like, I mean, what did I expect? But like, There's nothing wrong with it. I was just like, man, when you least expect it, you find yourself on horny Twitter. I was literally just minding my own business, watched like a funny video. Help me. Somehow ended up on Thirst Trap Twitter. He will never go alt path? No, like I'm genuinely never gonna go alt path. 100% never gonna happen again. Cereal? No, like you can just keep eating your cereal. Why no alt path? Shit is like harder for no reason. I've done it, okay? I've been there, I bought the t-shirt, okay? Listen, kid, I've been there and I bought the t-shirt. You want me to take the path from hell? Listen. No deal with the devil. Sure, why not? What's this reference? Any 90s stand-up comedian who wore a leather jacket. That's the reference. +2. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Dude, it would have been sick if Jerry Seinfeld had an edgy phase where he wore a leather jacket, smoked cigarettes, and had like a curly ponytail. What's the deal with these bozos in Washington? I mean, come on. Do you know what's fucking bullshit, George? Little Miss Muffet sat on her tuffet, eating her curds away. Along came a spider and sat down beside her and gave her a bone of his own. Hey, got it? Classic bit. Classic bit. I'm sad now? Why? That we didn't get... The world was deprived of when Jerry went blue? Ah, yes. When Dylan went electric. The second most important famous person goes blank moment from the 90s. Wait a minute, that's not from the... Just... We're moving on. We're moving on. We're moving on. Did not land. Didn't make any sense. Veered into Dennis Miller territory. Why not? And honestly, listen, I don't want to deal with the devil. I'm not interested. Quick reference earlier in the stream. It's like $1 an hour. I love scotch. Scotchy scotch scotch. Here it goes down. Down into my tummy. Did we just become best friends? There's so much room for activities. Napoleon, don't be jealous that I've been online chatting to hot babes all day. Make yourself a dang quesadilla. Tina, come eat dinner, you fat lard. Nobody makes me bleed my own blood. Nobody. I'm not a good eugoologist. But why male models? The files are in the computer. I have nipples, Greg. Can you milk me? You're not, you puffin' the magic dragon, Fokker? You're not in my circle of trust. Yeah, baby, yeah! It's not Al anymore, it's Dunk. A lot of people in the chat saying -2. And I can only assume that there's no +2s because everybody that is 30 to 35 years old is too busy raffling their copter right now, laughing their MF'n AO. He's quoting references from movies that I liked when I was 17. You're my boy Blue. Stop alienating the Zoomers. Bro, I can't help it. Like, I honestly, and I believe it or not, I've been the younger generation myself, even though it was a while ago now. The thing is, people mostly don't actively seek to alienate the younger generation. It's the younger generation that seeks to willfully become alienated. I'll say like some completely normal shit, like I had vegetables on my plate with dinner last night. People will be like, okay, boomer, you don't know what it's like to be 21. I know exactly what it's like to be 21. You make a mountain out of a molehill. You're 21, you say like insane shit. Dad, I can't believe you've never had an acai bowl. That shit didn't exist when my dad was my age. Now it's like, you know, when he goes out to a place that has acai bowls, he's like, no, just give me a wrap instead, because he's familiar with the medium. I've been trying to make a lot of enemies lately, and I think I'm going to do it here. Burritos, delicious. Gyros, gyros, kebab, pita, delicious, okay? Anything else that doesn't default into one of those categories and just ends up being called a wrap, I never want to see it ever again. I feel like wraps are the worst, and I'm not saying all things that fall under the wrap category. I'm saying specifically if something is marketed as like sandwich ingredients but wrapped up in a flatbread instead, get that shit out of here. I don't want it. I hate the deli wraps. Now I will say there's an exception. Sometimes when my mom is here, she'll make me like a deli wrap, and it's pretty good. But anytime I'm like at a restaurant or a grocery store or something like that, and I find myself being like, maybe I'll get a chicken Caesar wrap. Maybe I'll pay $9 for a chicken Caesar wrap. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with me? Just get a couple of samosas, take them home, and warm them up in the air fryer for 2 minutes. Don't get a wrap. Are you crazy? A sandwich, sure. The shit, as soon as you wrap that shit up and then you put it in the fridge, that tortilla is like drier than the Sahara Desert, man. I don't even want to go to my item room. I don't even want to be around anymore. Thoughts on the burrito bowl? Still delicious. I prefer a burrito to a burrito bowl. But I think a burrito bowl is still very tasty. Love them both. The only reason I started... Well, here's my Chipotle arc, okay? Had never eaten at Chipotle. There's only like, you know... There was one of them in Vancouver at the time. It was in an inconvenient location for me. DoorDash is invented. Green text arrow. DoorDash. Be me. DoorDash is invented. Holy cow. I can finally eat Chipotle conveniently. Order some Chipotle burritos. Green text arrow. Is delicious. Is the bomb. Become slightly more health conscious. Ordering Chipotle on DoorDash. Are tortillas 380 calories? Get a burrito bowl. Eat it. Green text arrow. Is still delicious. Fast forward 2 years. Single-use plastics have been outlawed in my city. They've all been... all styrofoam food containers have been replaced with biodegradable eco paper bowls instead. Be me. Order Chipotle. By the time the burrito bowl gets to my house, the guac has fused with the compostable bowl, making it impossible to mix up my burrito bowl and ruining the dining experience. And that's presently where we stand. That's just too much work. Just gonna be honest with you, that thing right there, that's too much work. I like the taste of the Chipotle burrito bowls. I just like, I mean, on a human level, I respect them for making a more informed environmental choice. As a diner, I will never order delivery from them ever again. Because the food is like 75% bowl by the time it arrives at my domicile. It's actually like... It's like the burrito bowl contents and the bowl itself got into Jeff Goldblum's transporter from The Fly. By the time it arrives to my house, it's around the part, you know... Wait, because the first part of it is like Jeff Goldblum's like being a fly is kind of sick. He's like, look at how strong I am. Look at my enhanced senses. But then, like, it starts to turn, and then he gets real sticky. That's about the point where it arrives in my house. He's like, one eye is bigger than the other one, and he's covered in, he's just shiny and kind of gooey. He's like half melted. And I'm like, this shit isn't worth $21 for a $13 burrito. Like, what's wrong with you? You're absolutely right. It's the Cronin Bowl. I wanted a burrito bowl. They gave me the David Cronin Bowl. That was a really good joke, chat. I like that one. You know what? I'm gonna steal the whole thing. I'm joking. I'm joking. Are you gonna tell Mouth I stole your joke? Give me that. This is a really fun game sometimes. Worth. Thoughts on quesadillas? I love a quesadilla. I'll never let her go. D100? I guess there's no reason not to. Saved? It's pretty good. Certainly not bad. Don't die, I got big bucks on this run. I mean, I think we're doing okay. I think your points are safe, honestly. Yeah, I love a quesadilla. I'm a big believer in the quesadilla. Full stop. I also, like, a chicken quesadilla is good. But even just like a cheese quesadilla, I think it's one of those things where sometimes when you add too many ingredients, it takes away from the actual medium to begin with. I'm a big believer about that with pizza. Like, I want some toppings on my pizza, but for the most part, I'm like I would say I'm like a 3-topping Andy. Anything after that, I think you're just playing with it. Like, you don't need to have chicken and Italian sausage on the pizza. You're not. You're at some point you're just slicing a pie with more slices and expecting there to be more food. You know. I feel like one meat makes a lot of sense unless you're running like some kind of, you know, the Hunter's pizza. I also feel like you should only. I mean, by you I mean me. I prefer to only have like one crunchy topping. If you're gonna get green peppers, okay? But don't get green peppers, pineapples, and jalapenos. That's just, it gets to the point where it's, just take the green peppers off. They're not adding that much. Green olives on a pizza? I mean, I like it, but it's a divisive topic. Any olives on a pizza is okay with me. But pizza, you know, I've said it many times here. I think if you're doing like a group interview for a job, obviously some of the interview should be focused on like the technicals, but that you should do like a stealth, like undercover boss style thing in the interview, where like half of the interview is you go, okay guys, here's like, you know, you got 8 people there. You drop a $50 bill on the table and say, okay, guys, the rest of the interview will happen after lunch. Why don't you guys just order a couple of pizzas for yourselves? We'll be back in an hour. And then you just sit back and observe. Because you know that there's going to be some people in there that are like, you're going to learn a lot about them. They're going to be unwilling to compromise on anything. They're going to be like, I will not eat a pizza unless it has jalapenos on it. And you got to be like, that's just not reasonable in a group environment. I like jalapenos too, but that's not a reasonable request when you're getting pizzas for other people. I think it would be genius, man. It's not a bit. I'm being serious. I'm being very serious. And then you should put it on YouTube. I honestly, Chib can probably vouch for this. He knows some streamers. Although I feel like streamers that are like in their 20s now, are way more normal than the streamers that I know were in their 20s. But you can make some very funny YouTube videos of just like, here's a compilation of streamers ordering food at a restaurant. I've never seen more insane, like, out-of-the-pocket food orders than when I've gone out to eat with, like, other people in this industry. Grown adults be like, let me get the lobster mac and cheese, but no Gruyere, and also, can I get a glass of milk? You're like, what the fuck? Did you just say what I think you just... You said, let's go to Legal Seafoods, and then you ordered a cheeseburger. You said one of my mods told me Legal Seafoods is a must-eat-at restaurant. Then as soon as you got here, you ordered the damn bacon cheeseburger? What's going on? Make it make sense. Name drop? I mean, I've made both of those up. But that took a lot of work. It was a Herculean effort. Because I wanted to not tell any real stories to protect the anonymity of the innocent. No, Dan, that's Dan's dirtiest secret, is that he's just like a normal guy. I mean, he's a little out of the pocket sometimes, but no. Anytime I've gone out to eat with Dan, if we're like, hey, do you want like an appetizer to share? He's like, sure, whatever you guys want is good. He's not like, oh, I can't, like, I can consume this, but I refuse to consume anything that's not a deep fried carbohydrate. He's just like, he's a pretty normal guy, outwardly at least. Malv is also a normal guy. Although I will say he's one of the only people I've ever known that had, at least for a period of his life, he would always ask the waiter for, like, their recommendation. It didn't matter what establishment it was. He would ask the waiter at every single restaurant, what's good here? Which is kind of like, it's like I'm feeling lucky, but for, like, your dinner. I'm sure, like, it worked out for him to some extent, but... Nobody wants to answer that? Well, I just, like, I don't know. How does the server know what I like? Like, I think it's different when you go to, like a fancy restaurant. Or, like, a good example. Sometimes I'll get a growler fill, right? I don't want to brag. From a world-class city. Many people have called it one of the most livable cities in North America. We got a microbrew culture here, right? So sometimes I'll go to a brewery and I'll get some growler fills. And they'll be like, any questions? And I'll be like, well, what do you recommend? And they're like, what do you like? And I'm like, well, I'm a psycho. Like, I like IPAs, like, as hoppy as they can go. And they go, here's a sample of this. And then I take a sip of it and I go, oh, it's delicious. Yeah, give me a liter of that. But, like, at a normal, like, just a restaurant with, like, 70 things on the menu, I don't think you're going to get that standard of, like, service, right? I think they're just going to be like, I don't think it's going to be malicious. What am I doing here? No, fantastic. Like, I don't think they're gonna be like, oh, I'm just gonna offer up the most expensive thing on the menu so that you have to give me a bigger tip. I just think that for the most part, they're gonna be like, oh, I really like this. And then you're gonna eat it and be like, I don't even like fish. Why did I order baked cod? Oops. Little pineapple cheesecake IPA from Superflux? Bro, chill out, okay? Wait, listen. Whenever people ask for a local beer recommendation, I always tell them, get a Fat Tug. You know? The Fat Tug is very good. It's great. It's a fantastic IPA. But I'm not telling them the cool local shit that always gets sold out like ASAP, okay? So we gotta, like, keep that shit under wraps a little bit, because it's, as soon as people, it's just, everybody's like, they can't shut up about it. Everybody's like, oh, I got this cool new beer that I really like. What's it called? Oh, it's made by Daggerad. Ooh, how do you spell that? 6 months later, you can't even get that shit. It's sold out of every fucking store. You can't even get a Burnaberry in anywhere. You gotta do a little gatekeeping, okay? Bury me, bury me. I could go for a Fat Tug right now. Listen, I get it. This guy's definitely high on pod news. I'm gonna D100 this run. I don't care anymore. I changed. I'm edgy now. Do they still make Lionsgate Winter Ale? I got it at the Canby a decade ago. Listen, we were at different phases of our life 10 years ago then. That's not an insult. I'm just saying I've never been to the Canby. Canby is the place where you go when you're staying in like a downtown hostel and you're like, sure, I'll lick the table. I think they do, but I honestly, like, and this is just sincere, is this one. What the heck? That's a D20. I'm a fool. Granville Island, like at, 10 years ago, it was like, whoa, local beer, Granville Island. Now Granville Island is like, it's whispered about in the same breath as like Molson. It's like, you're really gonna come to Vancouver and you're gonna drink Granville Island beer? A beer named after one of the tourist landmarks in the city? Really? Even when my dad was here. My dad had one beer the whole time he was here. And he looked at the beer menu and he said, how about this one? I swear this is a real story. Now it's getting even more like local pilled because now it's like the local beer culture. But he looked at a very long beer menu and then said, how about this one? And he pointed to Phillips Blue Buck. And I said, Dad, listen, I'm going to level with you, okay? There's nothing wrong with Phillips Blue Buck Ale. It's a perfectly acceptable casual drinker, okay? But it's a little basic for if you're gonna be in Vancouver, it's a little basic to come to Vancouver and be like, do you guys have Blue Buck on tap? Of course. Oh, is the sky blue? Is the water wet? So I said, listen, if you're looking for something a little ale-y, we'll get a little bit more, just slightly more local without being intimidating, okay? So I said, Dad, why don't you check out this? It's called Hoyne Dark Matter. It's a dark lager. It's delicious. It's still local. He said, okay, I trust you. He had it. He said, this is delicious. And I was like, of course it is. It's called Stella Artois. It's a little bit pricier. It's an import. But listen, if you're used to drinking Grolsch, why don't you elevate yourself a little bit? The label has paper on it, Dad. The label has paper on it. It's classy. Hey, watch it. I think the only people who get offended when you talk smack about Stella Artois are like, listen, don't make me be like too snobby, but like it's, they're like, keep Stella Artois out of your mouth, and I'm like, what? Are you from Belgium?
I bought a parking and I got a parking ticket.
How did that happen?
You telling me? I don't know.
Was the parking expired?
No, I bought it until like 6 a.m.
You got to dispute the ticket.
I know, but there is no dispute. They said if you need help, call this line.
Well, it looks like we're never parking in another Easy Park lot.
That's the local pill to you.
Be me, pay for parking, still get a parking ticket, cereal. But like when you insult Stella Artois, it's never Europeans who are like, that's local tradition. It's always people from North America that are like, hey, that's the beer that I order when I want to feel a little fancy. No disrespect, okay? No disrespect. I'm just saying you can do better. Like some of, no one thinks that. Bro, there's a lot of people who think that. You got to talk to some people. I don't know if the ads are the same worldwide, okay? But legitimately, the ads for Stella Artois in North America is always like two incredibly well-dressed, like designer, luxury brand wearing models. They're on vacation. They're on vacation. He's wearing a suit. She's wearing a dress. Whatever. It's a Tuesday. They go, what about this place? They walk into a little hole-in-the-wall bar. The man sits down and crosses his legs, looks at his Rolex and goes, I'll have a Stella Artois. And then a bartender in like a white starched button-up shirt with the sleeves 3/4 rolled up, end buttoned, goes like, "Very good, sir." And he fills it decadently from the glass. It's got a gold rim. And then he puts it on the table, and just a little bit of foam comes down. And then I shit you not, he takes a fucking knife and goes, shaves like the extra bit of head over the top, and then serves it to our dapper gentleman. That's how it's marketed in North America. It kind of blew my mind. I never thought it was good, but it kind of blew my mind when that was validated, and people from Belgium were like, yeah, actually, like, it's not, we don't like it here. Coors Light exists? I mean, Coors Light is also, two beers can both be bad. At least, I actually, if you'll forgive me this, and you may not, but that's okay. I have some respect for Coors Light drinkers, because at least they're not putting on airs. At least when they drink Coors Light, they're like, I'm going to have like 10 of these, and I want to make sure I can still wake up for work in the morning. You know, in a way, the import Stella drink is almost like worse for me, even if the beer is a little bit better, because of the fact that when you drink it, you're like, check it out, it's Stella. Yeah, I pay an extra $2 a pint. I'm a man of quality. I threw a poop at you. Peroni greater than all. Chib, like, listen, you can do whatever you want. I would never drink Peroni, like, in my house, but that's also partly because I live in a place where it's an import, so it's more expensive. I don't think Peroni is very good, but it's definitely like, it's a cardinal sin to pay import price for a Peroni if you're living in Canada. So does Chib? Well, that's true. It's a good point. I don't know, that's what blew my mind when I was in England, too. I thought England had like a strong, and trust me, I'll get to the resolution on this. I thought England had a strong beer culture, and then every restaurant we went to, I was like, oh, what do you have on draft? And they're like, oh, we only have Peroni and Strongbow. So I was like having the occasional Peroni, and then when I came back, you know, this was like 6 years ago, I was like, hey, England, why do you drink so much Peroni in England? And they're like, oh, that's because you went out for beer. You have to go out for ale. And that's honestly where my vendetta with England kind of started. And like, I keep asking, what beers do you guys have? And the server looks at me like I'm 17 years old and goes, Peroni, Carling, and we have some ciders. And I'm like, I guess I'll take a Peroni. That's what, if I had said, excuse me, Garçon, what's your ale list? They would have come out with like an old tome etched in stone with like moss growing on it. Oh, our ale list, of course. Our ale list was originally founded by Trappist monks in the 14th century. Oh, my mistake, sorry. I forgot. Despite like inventing the language, you don't use it the same way that the rest of the world uses it. Drives me freaking crazy, man. One of these runs has to be good. It's not this one. Get away from me. I'm gonna die. That's where you're wrong. Dude, it's a D100. All you gotta do is live long enough for it to give you the win. Where'd you go in England? London and Old Windsor. I was in Old Windsor for a media event. And then I moved to London for a bit of a vacation. It was in 2015. A simpler time. I don't know. I really don't want to have to use Cards Against Humanity, but... Empress. Whoa! I didn't think he had it in him, honestly. So London and London? Yeah, but like honestly, like England, just relax. I remember being in England. I was like, I wasn't that impressed by like the food. People go like, oh, where'd you stay? And I'm like, oh, London, the capital. They're like, well, there's your problem. You've got to go to the local chippy on the banks of the fucking... You got to go to Blackpool, and there's an old man with a hat made out of newspaper that serves the best fish and chips I've ever seen in my... I'm like, I can't... That's not realistic. Can't you just tell that guy to move to London? Whenever I had a single complaint about England, people were like, oh, that's just because you were in its biggest city. If you really want to enjoy yourself, you should take a 10-hour flight to Heathrow and then rent a car, drive on the wrong side of the road for 6 hours, and come to a town you've never heard of in northern England that's famous for a variety of cheese that's cheddar but a little bit softer. I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm not going to do that. They gotta make more of an effort, okay? You gotta put some good stuff in London. I forgot. I said 6-hour drive. I forgot not everyone's... I mean, we're talking about England. I forgot that not everyone lives in a continent where a 6-hour drive is like... You know, people are like, yeah, that's my normal commute. Roll me. Roll me? Don't care. Didn't ask. Plus, you've had 3 prime ministers this year. Plus, you freaking, I don't know, something about, Ed Sheeran's not even... Ed Sheeran's not as good as his level of popularity would lead you to believe. Oh, crap. Dude, YouTube, you can't see? Nobody's agreeing with me. They're so mad, they're malding right now. They're like, no, please, we love Ed Sheeran. Listen to yourself. Have some self-respect. They're crying. And I'm laughing. Why is this run so bad? What is this? I picked up some bombs. They turned into little dolls on the side of the screen. I got, what's happening, man? Oh, because I got freaking TM trainer. No. It's all right. We're just going to get a battery charge. Where are you going? You don't have, oh, you do have something to throw. Just get a battery charge. Triple Bob's Brain. It was kind of sick. I had a great time with that. I mean, to be fair, if someone... okay, I guess I'll just fucking die. Alright, see you. What? I don't really know what the hell I'm supposed to do about that. It's easily the most unfair thing that's ever happened to me in this game, but that in and of itself makes it humorous. What the hell was that, man? People be like, take the alt path. The normal path's too easy. Well, we're going... A lot of people went all in on yes. I'm sorry to hear that. You should have went all in on ales. That's your problem. Oh, you wanted beer. Listen, if you want good beer in England, you gotta say ale. Beer is what we call bad beer. Ale is what we call good beer. Ruffle my hair a little bit. So cute that you didn't know that. Just listen. Okay, that's Isaac 2. We're running.